Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ethical AI Tools for Smart People. Um, and today we're going to be covering Perplexity.
Woohoo, I'm excited.
So, just a little introduction to who we are. My name is Kayla.
Hi, I'm Dr. J. We're here in real version and cartoon version.
And so, we just have a couple of issues we like to go over before we introduce any sort of program. So, one of the biggest ones is should you use it? Transparency. You don't want to be hiding the fact that you're using it, and you want to make sure that your instructor, advisor, whoever is instructing you for the assignments that you're doing says that you're allowed to do so. And you want to also make sure that you're citing the generative AI that you're going to be seeking some knowledge from.
Exactly. Yeah. And so thinking about like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Make sure you should be using something. So the learning objectives. If you're trying to use a tool for the same purpose of the learning objective as an assignment, you're not doing the ethical thing. So if the assignment is an essay and it's trying to figure out if how your writing skills are developing, and you're using a tool to do writing skills, that's not ethical, right? You can't use something for the exact same purpose as the assignment. But if the purpose of the assignment is, say, a biology lab write-up, and and the whole thing is to figure out if you understand the concepts in the biology lab, and it's not about your writing skills, and you're using something like ChatGPT or Gemini or something like that to fix up your grammar and punctuation with the expressed consent of the instructor, then that's pretty ethical. That's kind of okay. So just think about, should you be using this tool?
And then just a couple issues that we're not going to fully go in depth, but we largely recommend you go and research while you're trying to figure out if you should use the AI program. Copyright issues and artistic license. Those can always be a big issue, whether it's something for music, images, things such as that. So we're not going to be able to cover that at this time, but definitely recommend you look into that as well as the environmental impact and the fact that the internet is made from trash.
It really is. It is made from trash, and that is what most of these have been trained on, most of these AI platforms. So just thinking about generative AI and where it comes from, and so to be aware of those biases. So if you're going to be using something, you should know a lot about it. Okay, so that's our ethical considerations. We're not digging deep into these, but we want you to be thinking about these before you use a tool.
And so now we're going to get started into introducing a little bit more about Perplexity. So, Perplexity, you can use it for finding resources, connecting resources, like a lot of some of the generative AI you may see, but it's also going to give you the sense of that literature and a lot of the literature that exists in a field. And it's got some nuances that I'm a particular fan of.
I'm so
And
excited.
always a good place to get started. But remember, the key is getting started, not doing the assignment.
Right.
So when you first log on to Perplexity, it's very similar to Chat GPT Consensus. You pop right up. You can ask anything. It's really nice because you can also do comparisons, troubleshoot, learn about a variety of different topics, and it's just really, really nice.
Well, that's
And additionally, it gives you a chance to create threads, which I like as well. So you can explore all of these different topics, but you also can create threads, which is really nice and discover and just it gives you a very explorative lens.
so you can stay organized. I like that. Okay, cool. And you can choose how you stay organized.
Exactly. And actually, one other point to jump back to with Perplexity, you can share links, but the links will expire after a certain point. So, like if you do
Oh,
research, for example, with the research question we did for this, Dr. J had done research in the past and had put in a prompt, but when I went to check for that same output, it wasn't available. So I redid it on my end, and it had a
oh
lot of very
no.
similar comparisons.
I didn't know it expired. Oh no.
Neither did I, but I we still had the copies of the output,
Nice.
which was
Yeah,
nice. So I was able to do a little cross comparison as well, which was
cool.
very fun.
That's exciting.
But of course, we want to make sure you are utilizing one of the most important resources that we have access to, the Simmons University Library. You want to make sure any sources that are provided to you, you kind of try and go back and vet. The library may not always have access to everything that we're looking for in all of the articles, but honestly, our library is wonderful, especially considering we've got a really great library program. So they do their best to be very versatile and cover as many forms of media as they can.
Yeah, we are lucky to have all these wonderful librarians in our midst.
So you get right into it. You just type your question. Pretty straightforward there. Also, there's it as you can see below, it then reacclimates to the question. So then it can summarize, it can plan, and it can do fact checking, which is really nice versus everything that we were looking at before we had even put in the question. So
Mhm.
already you can see that that thought process is happening, which is really wonderful. And then once you end up clicking into your question, it brings you to this screen where it'll generate what's being asked. And I really like the fact that all of the sources are listed right at the top as well. And it provides you the answer, the sources, and the steps. And it definitely gave a really in-depth answer where you could also see the sources that are being cited. It's doing it correctly with the APA 7 format that we had asked.
I love this. Okay, so how many sources did it give you?
So it was wonderful because it gave 8 different sources, which is why I love the steps as well, because it'll search it up for you and it'll come up with the sources that you were looking for.
Got it. And it told you like how it showed
Yes,
you searched on the web. Okay, cool.
I really liked it. And
Yeah.
so going further into the sources, it'll show you those sources right away as well. And so this is kind of where that vetting process comes in because you can see it does use articles, but then you can also see website like nature.com. So we know a lot of the times .coms versus .orgs, you want to just be very careful. So this is where you would want to go back and check in with the Simmons Library as well as your instructor to see, hey, is this a reputable source I can use? But it's still very transparent in telling exactly what sources are used, which is what I was very fond of.
Could we, did you explore thinking about like peer-reviewed sources, like scholarly journals, or like was it just like everything, like a smattering of every type of source that's out there?
I think because we didn't say specifically peer
Yeah.
reviewed, it gave
Yeah.
us a smattering. So this
Yeah.
goes to show exactly how specific you want to make sure to be.
Months.
It looks like out of everything, like this was peer reviewed, this was peer reviewed, but a couple of them looked like it was still a little bit more general. But a lot of them will say, like the second one has said publication, report. So a
Mhm.
lot of these do have a high likelihood of being peer reviewed. But again, always want to double check.
Right. Good, good. That's cool. Thank you. All right, let's keep going.
And so, my opinions on it, I love how the sources are provided, the way that Perplexity is showing the process and the steps for generating an answer, because a lot of times you don't get a chance to really see the behind the scenes. And so, it's nice that it tells you exactly the order that it's finding the sources and just provides a really good jumping off point.
I like this a lot. I'm trying to, so I'm just figuring this out now. I like this, but it doesn't give as many sources as some of the other platforms that we've been looking at in our little series where we look at all different tools here. So I'm
Mhm.
going to say like thumbs up, definitely gets the thumbs up from me, but it's not my very favorite. So I think that like some of the other ones that we've looked at, like Consensus and Illicit, are a little bit more like, ooh, there's so many scholarly sources that they're pulling from. I think that those are more of my favorite, but I think, maybe I haven't played with this one enough. Maybe I can learn more.
Absolutely. I think it's that reliability factor that can be kind of called into question just a bit. So that's why I was also more fond of consensus and illicit as well.
Ah, so we have the same. Okay, cool, 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 cool. We should do like a ranking at some point.
I know at the end with the ranking. I
Yeah,
like that.
love it, love it. Okay.
And so just next steps, again, you'll have that generalized lit review, the source of the list of sources that you're getting. And again, you want to make sure you know what the sources are saying. You can't just go based off of everything that's generated in front of you, because you're also supposed to be paraphrasing and just using this as a guide. So make sure you're looking into the sources, doing the research by putting it through the library, and just overall using everything you have at your fingertips to make it about the knowledge that you're creating and
Exactly.
learning and trying to reflect.
Right. You're trying to use your own brain here. That's what this is all about, this whole education thing. Yay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody.